On a Friday evening, time now for our open studio. We have got author, public speaker, globetrotter. We have Dennis Feeheley, who has traveled to 55 countries, many remote corners of the world. So his stories could serve to be great inspiration to a lot of you who want to take yourself on a big adventure. Good evening, Dennis.
Thanks, Mike. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. Have you ever done radio before?
Yeah, I've had some interviews back home when I was promoting my book.
All right.
TV and radio. Yeah.
Sure. And let's introduce yourself. For instance, where is home?
Sure. I'm from America, from Michigan. And when I finished high school, my dream was basically to travel, see the world, and get a good education. So I left and went to England for study for 3 years. And during that time, I did a lot of traveling. I traveled to over, 30 countries before I was 21 years old.
Wow.
Africa, Europe, behind the Iron Curtain, Sahara. And I traveled very, very cheaply being a college student. And it was a great experience. And then later, I also took a big trip behind the Iron Curtain, Communist Eastern Europe, which was very unusual at that time for Americans. Nobody could be allowed a visa traveling there. Just some of my work experience, maybe to introduce, is I worked on Capitol Hill as a legislative correspondent for U.S. congressmen.
Okay.
Did a lot of writing, speeches, reports. He was on the Armed Services Committee, so we had a lot of dealings with the U.S. military. It was very interesting work.
So you would you write speeches for Congress?
Yeah, I wasn't the main speech writer. Usually several people would work on a speech. But I was one of the writers, and I did a lot of reporting. They sent me on a fact-finding mission of U.S. Military bases across the U.S. and wrote a report for the Armed Services Committee and things like that. And then later, I quit that job. People thought I was kind of crazy because it was a real tough job to get.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start a business, so I started an international trade company. I only had about $300 in my pocket, but that was my dream. I wanted to have my own business. And my brother, John, later became a partner, and another guy. And we had about 3 or 4 real tough years, grinding it, getting investment money. And then later, we got about $1 million in private capital, and we're fairly successful with launching a product in the U.S.
Wow.
And maybe one other thing I'll mention might be interesting to your listeners is I also taught classes, business classes, in one of the toughest maximum security prisons in America.
Oh, my gosh.
Jackson State Prison. I didn't really need the job. I was asked to teach there, and I kind of took it just as a challenge. I used to always try to challenge myself.
Where is it?
It's in Michigan.
Oh, okay, all right.
They recently closed it. I was told it's got the biggest wall prison in the world, the biggest wall at the time. But it was an interesting experience for me also.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, I think you're our first guest who's just sort of told their entire life story. And would you introduce yourself? Because sometimes they say, would you please introduce yourself? And say, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm from this place, and I've been in Busan 2 years. He's like, all right, well, next question. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like you've led a really interesting life. And I wanted to jump to a question that where you said you quit your job in Capitol Hill, excuse me. You quit your job on Capitol Hill to start your own business, and you said people thought you were crazy. Was it also a lucrative job as well?
No. Well, the pay was good for a young guy.
Yeah.
And it was the competition in Capitol Hill, though, is so intense.
Oh, okay. So it's a lot of people who are
trying to get that job.
Not necessarily about the financial security, but more just kind of
the experience, and it leads to other things. Most people stay in politics. They get a job on the Hill, they staff, they run for office or whatever, continue in politics.
Right.
So, and it was a very intense job. My boss was a real tough guy.
How do you get a job like that?
Well, the way I did it was through an internship. Because it's really hard. We had 3,900 people apply for 2 jobs my first year.
Oh, my gosh.
And they're all Harvard, Yale grad, Stanford, so it's a very tough competition. What I did is I got an internship with a congressman from Michigan. So I was working for peanuts. I worked about 200 hours a month, making $100. So I had a nighttime job at a restaurant, but I worked there in Capitol Hill, and I met a lot of people. I joined the Capitol Hill Softball League, and through people I met, I learned about jobs and opportunities, and was forwarded information and introduced to get a job. Okay. And that's how I got my job. Most of my job is that way.
And where did you go to university?
I went to Oxford University for 2 years. I was at the St. Peter's College program there, overseas program. Okay. And I was a member of the Oxford Union, which is, that was incredible. Probably the most elite debating society in the world. Oh, okay. And I also played rugby for Oxford for 2 seasons. Nice. Rugby league. So I traveled around the UK, and I was invited to go to France, play the French national team in Paris, and so it's a great experience at Oxford. And then from there, I also studied in England at a place called Harlexton University. It's an international school. They had students from about 40 different countries. Okay. And then later, I came back to the States to George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I was interested in politics, So I graduated from there with a degree in political science.
Wow. Were you any good at the rugby?
Yeah, I did well.
Yeah.
My first season, I led the team in tries.
Wow.
Tries, touchdown. I had about 14.
Yeah.
Second season, not so much, but I was, played every game and
nice.
One of the team.
Cool.
But I kind of stood out because I was only Yank.
Yeah.
I think in the entire league, so everybody knew me.
Yeah, sure. Oh boy, so an American was leading an English team in tries at rugby.
Well, yeah, I was just one of the guys, though.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just one of the players.
I played a rugby union in
did?
Busan for the Busan Bandits for a couple of seasons.
Well.
I scored 0 tries. Not really my thing, I guess. I just I did it for the socializing.
Yeah, a lot of social life to it.
Yeah, a lot of social life to it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, so you did Oxford for 2 years, but I thought you said you went to university for 3 years.
Yeah, I went to Oxford University 2 years in England, and then in Lincolnshire, England, went to Harlech University for 1 year.
For 1 year, okay.
So 3 years in England, and I came back to the States and did about a year and a half in the States to finish my degree at George Washington.
George Washington, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and where is that?
That's in Washington, D.C. It's right next to the White House.
Oh,
right
okay.
Downtown, right
downtown,
right?
Yeah. All right. Oh, that must have been an interesting experience as well. I mean, completely different. I mean,
very
United
different.
Kingdom and Washington, D.C.
Yeah, very different. And Harlech was very international. There's all these students from Africa, Middle East, so most of my friends were all from different cultures and places. I came back to D.C. and it was very much, kind of the American, very American kind of culture, big contrast.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have you are a best-selling author on the Amazon platform. Is that correct?
Yeah, in my category, my book reached number 51 for my category, not overall, but my category.
For your category,
yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure.
And
sure.
Could we maybe hear a little bit of it so that we can kind of get a sense of what it's like?
Yeah, I don't have a book here. I sold them out at the last book show, but I can tell you a couple of stories.
Sure.
The book's name is Travelin, Man, Across the Sahara and Beyond. And it's a travel memoir of a trip I took when I was 19 years old. And my brother John and I, we met in London with this idea to travel to Africa. We were young, kind of stupid, but fearless, and we met up, supposed to have $600 for the trip. I only had $175, he had $180. We were in London. What do we do? We'll go for it. So we took off on this trip across Western Europe. We snuck on trains. We hitchhiked. I've probably hitchhiked about 12,000 miles.
Oh, wow.
All across Europe. Then we took a ship to Sicily, hitchhiked across Sicily. Then we snuck on a ship. We were stowaways across the Mediterranean Sea to Tunisia. Got into Africa and Tunisia. We planned to travel a northern route along the northern border between Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. But we got picked up at the border in Algeria by this soldier. He took us dead south in the Sahara. It set us off on this crazy adventure. We got blocked by the Sub-Saharan War. And
wow.
It was quite a trip.
How did what kind of ship did you sneak yourselves onto? Cargo, passenger?
No, it was a passenger ship.
Oh, okay.
They also had a lot of traders. People bring a lot of supplies back to Africa.
Right. How does one become a stowaway on a ship?
Well, the main thing is you got to get across that plank.
Not that we're condoning this behavior. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I did it a couple times actually across the English Channel also that way. We didn't really plan it. We were on this deadline to get to Trapani in Sicily to meet the ship. We thought we were going to leave at this certain time and a certain date. So we're traveling down Italy, across to Sicily. We get there to the port, and there's a ship there. So we got to get our passport stamped to be allowed to exit, and go on the ship. So the custom official is there. We see him. We go get our passport stamped, but never buy a ticket. We walk down towards the shipyard, and there's a big group of people, these people with all these goods they bought, traders,
Yeah.
And they're arguing with the custom official or the boat official. So we kind of walked around the crowd with people who had their ticket already checked. Joined this group, walked across the plank. There was a boatman right in the ship. We just showed confidence and walked right past him onto the ship. He didn't stop us. And then the thing was, though, about 2 hours later into the ship ride, we're trying to hide in the corners, not make eye contact when nobody asks us for a ticket. I'm walking in through the ship, and I see the custom official I saw back in Sicily at the port. I know he knew I didn't have a ticket.
Oh.
And I looked at him. He's walking my way, and by mistake, I made eye contact.
Oh, no.
And I could see in his eye kind of a flicker of recognition that he recognized me.
Yeah.
But he walked right past me.
Oh, okay.
I think he let me slide. I think he knew I didn't have a ticket, but let me go.
Huh.
I've always thought that.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to actually... Like if you could just meet him again one day.
Yeah, a lot of my people I like to meet for my travels.
Oh, sure, yeah. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah.
When you, I've never been a stowaway on a ship. I'm just wondering what it's about. Like, where did you sleep, for instance?
Well, we weren't supposed to be in the ship, so we're trying to hide. So we walked way down to the lower quarters. We found this open corridor. There was nobody down there.
Yeah.
And they had some open rooms. So we found an open room, climbed in the room, locked the door, took a shower. The first shower, only shower I took in that whole trip for 40 days. Only time I washed.
Yeah.
Took a shower, laid in the bed, climbed back out of the room, you know, and then waited for the ship to get into port.
Huh.
Just try to avoid anybody.
So you just walked on.
Just walk on.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Wow. But you know, back I guess to the book. I mean, this you cross. You know, you say you traverse the Sahara, but I mean, were you
not the whole Sahara? No, we traveled about 2,000 kilometers.
Okay, but like north south. Or east-west?
East-west.
East-west, okay.
Yeah, east-west.
So starting in Tunisia?
Tunisia, crossed Algeria. We went kind of south by the soldier, picked us up at the border, wouldn't let us out of the car, drove us dead south, and then across Algeria, back up kind of northeast, and then into Morocco.
Okay.
And we got blocked by the Sub-Saharan War. The Polisario guerrillas were raiding into Morocco through Algeria. So this one road we're hitchhiking on, there's like one little village, then there'd be nothing but desert, open desert for maybe 150 kilometers, another little village. They'd never seen foreigners. They had no TV, no radio, no phones. So, and it's very traditional Muslim. We'd walk into the village, but the whole village come out, they want to touch us, shake our hand, they'd follow us around. You know, we sit down, they all sit down. But going across the desert, we got blocked. People kept saying, you must go back, you must go back. But we had no money to go back.
Oh, yeah.
We had to keep going forward. So finally, one village, nobody would give us a ride. There's only supplies for the soldiers through that village.
Sure.
So we walked back into the village, and we talked to some people on the street, you know, and we got this smuggler. I call him Scarface in my book, this evil-looking guy. He's got this wicked scar on his jaw. Anyways, we bribed him to take us in his truck through the checkpoint with the Polisario guerrillas, which was very dangerous.
Yeah.
And we never trusted the guy.
Oh, really?
And he got us through, though. Got us through, hit us in the back of the truck.
And he didn't have a secret heart of gold or anything like that?
No, he certainly didn't. He ripped us off after he let us out. Got us through, but then he ripped us off later.
He demanded more money from you? Or?
We had no choice. He pointed to these soldiers. And
right.
We had to give it to him.
So, I mean, it sounds like you've had a lot of experiences. I mean, you've you know, had a lot of sort of, perhaps you've done a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't do now and in your more...
I couldn't do it now at this age.
Yeah.
When I was young, it's just, you know, you have that power of youth. I tell young people, you know, being young it's power. It's difficult sometimes, no experience, no money.
Yeah.
But some of the best times I had was when I had no money. Right. On these trips and travels. I just followed my dreams. And I was fearless and kind of stupid, kind of a little mix of fearlessness and stupidity, you know. But
that's right.
Did what I wanted to do.
But what sort of life lessons can you give us from your travels, or what life lessons do you think you learned from doing all of this?
Yeah, it was real good life lessons. One thing is, you know, I had a good formal education, Oxford and George Washington University, but I think I learned more from my travel experiences than I did from formal education. And I learned about money, about planning and negotiating, about cultures, about all kinds of things I learned from my travels. So I tell young people, you know, is learn, go to college, take courses and classes, but also do. Yeah. Do things. Take up a new hobby, learn something new, travel someplace new, get an internship in an unusual job. You learn by doing, not just by studying in a room with a book. And for me, I learned so much from my travel. It gave me such confidence at a young age. I had a lot of difficult, dangerous situations, you know, and I had to think on my feet, and you just got to get that confidence. And sometimes I was scared to death, but you never try to show that.
Were you ever in a really dangerous situation?
Yeah, I had some, you know, life or death.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, life or death.
Anything you'd care to share, or?
Yeah, I'll tell you one experience.
Sure.
This is going behind the Iron Curtain, which at that time, no Americans were allowed behind the Iron Curtain. Yeah. And with my brother John and another guy, we got visas, unrestricted, no Communist Party official, no government minder. We're crossing from East Germany into Poland. We exit East Germany, we're driving into Poland, and it's just like in the movies. You got the big spotlights, the watchtowers, the machine guns, dogs, the soldiers walking. They drive our car up and pull it up under this big spotlight. Communist Party official and two soldiers come over. They line us up 1, 2, 3. Then 3 soldiers go in the car to start searching the car. It's really tense. Yeah. I've heard of people disappearing. They disappear. You just go on, you know. Okay. So we're at the border there for about 2 hours while they're looking in the car. All of a sudden, the one soldier in the back seat stands up, blows this whistle, tweet, tweet. All hell breaks loose. and it becomes really tense. Soldiers come and surround us. Whole group of soldiers go and start searching the car. They got these cables they run through the engine, through the side of the car. They put these long mirrors on trolleys under. Every inch of the car is being searched. Every piece of paper in the car is brought out. We're taken individually to a private room being searched. We don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
What the threat is. We don't know what they're going to do with us.
Yeah, and you didn't have anything,
Well, we found out later we had one little postcard. Said the word Solidarnos, which was the outlawed labor union.
Oh.
One word on one card.
Oh, no.
Caused all of that because nothing was allowed in. And we were held there for 7 hours. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the 7 hours, we're just sweating it because nobody knows where we are. Nobody can find you.
Sure.
And eventually they came back and they let us in. And then we had some real other tough experience on the trip.
Oh.
Fascinating, though, too.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. Wow, Dennis, I mean, I could talk with you all day about this, but I mean, the time just flies by, you know what I mean?
I enjoyed it very much.
That's it. Hey, Dennis, thank you so much for being on here. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being with you, Mike. Thanks
all
for
right.
having me.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see you around again, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas. All your listeners.
All right. That is our guest for today, Dennis Feeheley, just a world traveler and author, public speaker. Wow, just a really amazing life right there.